All right, guys, we're going to dive right into this clip. So, Bernie Sanders is doing the Fighting Oligarchy tour, guys. He's hip and hip with Alexandria Cortez. Apparently, they're propping her up to do a 2028 presidential run, which would, that would be a disaster, right? Because she's probably worse than Kamala Harris. So, he's running around doing the Fighting Oligarchy tour. The premise is like, okay, there's these political elites that we have to deal with who are fascist, and they control 99% of the wealth, and they're giving us breadcrumbs, and, that whole spiel, which I don't necessarily disagree with, right? But then they write an article about him saying that, I think it was the New York Times, saying that the guy spends like $220,000 on air travel per year and has spent millions, countless millions throughout his entire political career to go on these private jet missions to do campaigns. And they're saying the campaigns, he doesn't really get a lot of turnout, right? I mean, he did when he was running for president. Now it's like, what do you really need? Or are you spending all this money on private jets, and you're complaining about all these people wasting, all these political elites having access to this type of air travel, that you really got to be in the top 1% to be doing all that. So what's going on? And so let's hear what Bernie had to say.
We got to impeach that judge. That is called authoritarianism. And I don't care if you're conservative or progressive and middle of the road guy. I would hope we all stand together against that movement toward authoritarian. And lastly, you're seeing policies that Trump and the Republicans are bringing forth with tax breaks for billionaires and cuts to Medicaid.
They claim there's not going to be cuts. They claim they're taking out waste, fraud, and abuse.
No.
I understand. I understand what you're saying,
right.
But that's what they say.
It's in the eyes of the beholder with waste, fraud. Look, you don't cut $800 billion without really devastating Medicaid, attacking Social Security so that seniors, disabled seniors, are going to have a hard time getting the program.
But there are a lot of people who look at this and say the government is bloated. It's out of control. It's $37 trillion in debt. Do you think the federal government?
Fair enough.
Do the federal government, does it need to be cut?
The federal government needs to be made more efficient. In some ways, it should be expanded. In other ways, cut. If you're asking me, is the federal bureaucracy a problem? You're damn right it is. Can we make it more efficient? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Isn't that what DOGE was trying to do?
No, but DOGE was trying. You don't make it more efficient by laying off thousands of workers at the Social Security Administration so that seniors can't get their benefits and their concerns addressed in a timely manner. You don't make the system more efficient by threatening to lay off 83,000 workers at the Veterans Administration, which will clearly impact the health care that our veterans receive.
All right, last thing. Alyssa Slotkin, senator from Michigan, she said you shouldn't be using oligarch. It's over people's head. You've gotten criticized from other people. Free Beacon says Bernie Sanders spent $221,000 on private jets fighting the oligarchy tour, paid for by friends of Bernie Sanders. That you've spent millions of dollars in campaign funds on private jet travel over the years. How do you push back on both of those things?
When's the last time you saw Donald Trump during a campaign mode at National Airport?
No. It doesn't. But he's also not fighting the oligarchy.
No. You run a campaign and you do 3 or 4 or 5 rallies in a week. The only way you can get around to talk to 30,000 people. Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United waiting, 30,000 people are waiting. That's the only way you can get around. No apologies for that. That's what campaign travel is about. We've done it in the past. We're going to do it in the future.
And you think that this is hitting a mark? You think it's scratching the itch that voters want to hear from?
I think at a time when the people on top are doing phenomenally well, when seniors, working class people are struggling, people want to hear action to stand up to the people who have the wealth and the power and create an economy that works for all of us, not just the people on top.
Well, Senator Sanders, I appreciate you coming on, talking about the issues, and we'll have you back.
Thank you very much, Brett.
Thank you. Hey.
All right, so, Bernie claims like, hey, there's no way of him being able to do all these campaign rallies unless he spends that amount of money and takes private jets. He's not going to just sit in an airport somewhere and just do what every other regular person does. I mean, he's not going to be able to get to where he has to go, so which is I guess that's warranted, but, they're making a big deal out of this whole thing. But let me know what you guys think in the comment sections down below. Is that hypocritical for him to spend millions on private jets while at the same time complaining about the elites, controlling us and all this and that. So let me know in the comment section down below, man. Like, comment, subscribe.